The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm webinar series. Today we're going to be talking about revenue pipeline. Quite a challenging subject often for most professional services firms, but in particular I think for law firms in relation to how they go about generating their revenue. So just before we get started, as usual, just have a couple of questions that I wouldn't mind just getting some responses from, just to see who's on the line today. So the first thing is I'd just like to get an idea which of these best describes you. Sole practitioner, 1 to 3 principal firm, or a 3+ principal firm. Excellent. So thanks for that. So on the line today, we've got 46% of you are sole practitioners, with 54% being 1 to 3 principal firms. And in terms of what your role in the firm, if you could just let me know which of those best describes you. Good. High percentage of principals here today, which is fantastic. So thanks for that. 67% principals, 17% solicitors, non-principals, and CEOs. And lastly, I just want to get an understanding of how many of you have attended the last webinar, just so I know how much to go into in detail. Great. So we've got, by the look of it, mainly new participants in the webinar today. So thank you very much for joining us, and welcome. So what we're going to cover off today is how you go about growing your pipeline in a law firm. But I might just, before I get into that, I'll recap very quickly on my last webinar, charging hours as only part of the revenue equation. And I encourage you all to maybe go and have a listen to that webinar, because it is the first part in this series, and it does position some of the concepts we're going to talk about today. But I'll go through those in a little bit more detail shortly. But just a quick announcement before we get going. On the 17th of October this year, we're going to be having the first of our East Coast events for the 2012-13 year, which is a Grow Your Law Firm workshop, which will go over 4 hours. And this particular workshop will be covering off some of the things we talk about today, the previous webinar, and the next webinar. It's ideally suited for 1 to 3 principal firms, so that it gives them a framework, a very simple framework, tried and tested, for allowing them to get clear on what the strategies are they need to be implementing in their business to drive profit and cash flow. So just watch this space. The registrations will open early in September. So looking at any strategies in any business, you really need to do it as part of an overall plan, and we call that being financially well organised. So today we're going to be talking about the business plan, part of the business plan component of your financially well organised strategy, and that is, what are the strategies in your business to drive improvements in profit and cash flow. And particularly we're going to be talking about the revenue strategy component of that business strategy for you. So just a little bit of recapping from our last webinar. Most law firms and most professional service firms really focus on this squeezing the orange strategy for how they generate their income. And they generate their income focusing on the actual doing of the work. So that's what I call production and delivery. So they spend their time doing their work. We charge hours that'll generate us income. And when they see there's a little bit of a hole coming in their income or in their revenue, or they might get a little bit slow with their work throughput, they might start doing a couple of things, like just ringing up a few people that they know, having a lunch here and there, that type of thing. But this approach to revenue generation, what it does, it puts a false ceiling on your revenue that you can generate, because it's focusing on the wrong behaviours. It's focusing on just getting people to charge time, whereas the revenue that's generated that you actually make in the firm happens well before that. And where it happens is in this 5-dimensional revenue strategy. So it's focusing on what's your product that you sell to your clients. How do you get that message out to your clients so that they know what you sell to them? How you sell it to them, then how you do the work, and then how you manage the relationships with them so they keep buying again. So if you just look at your production and delivery area there, that only happens once you've had a client sign up and say, yep, I want you to do that work. That should only really happen once you've got your cost agreement assigned for any of those transactions greater than $1,500. So what you've got to focus on in your business is those revenue generating activities, and most firms don't. It's a very simple concept, but most firms focus on the work just rolling in. So we're going to, and that's what I call that's what I mean in my last webinar around charging hours as only part of the revenue equation, because where the hours get charged is in this production and delivery area. But you can only be charging those hours if you've got that revenue coming in. So I'm going to give you some new concepts today, and I'm going to hopefully challenge your thinking around your business and your business activities and what you do to create revenue being generated in your business. So to start with, this is a very simple model that some of you may have seen before, but it really summarises very clearly the activities that you need to focus on and as to where you generate your revenue from. So you've got 4 components here. You've got existing clients and new clients, and you've got, so it's existing clients and new clients there. So selling existing products to existing clients, you're selling existing products to new clients, selling new products to existing clients, and new products to new clients. So in looking at those 4 areas, just note down there where you generate most of your income from that you earn in a year in your practice. So a few more to vote. You can just everyone just pop that in. That'll be great. Getting a pretty clear picture here, which is a very normal response. Excellent. So thanks for that. We'll just close that poll and share those results with you. So what you're saying is that 48% of your revenue comes from selling existing products to existing clients. 43% are saying they generate their revenue from existing products to new clients, and 10% generate their revenue from new products to new clients. Now that's very normal. What it shows is that the activities in your business are very much focused on finding new clients. So they're roughly 53% of revenue that you generate. You're focusing on generating that revenue from new clients. Now, if you're looking at the easiest places to sell and generate revenue, the easiest place to generate revenue from is existing products to existing clients. And it's the cheapest as well. They already know you, they've already got a relationship with you, they've already bought from you. Chances are they haven't bought from you everything that you do. So the easiest strategy to start with is to develop strategies to focus on selling more of your existing products to more of your existing clients. You don't have the cost of creating that product. You don't have the cost of finding a new client. Interestingly enough, though, most businesses in the professional services world, particularly legal firms, because of the nature of the transactional basis upon which you generally work on, most of that time is spent looking to generate revenue from existing products to new clients. So the energy and the activity that you've got to implement to really, to make that happen, it's exhausting, and it's also quite unpredictable. So you don't know when that new client's going to be coming in the door. So it comes second. It comes second to existing products to existing clients, because you don't have to create anything new, but you just go out and find the new clients. Thirdly is new products to existing clients, because if you create a new product, it's generally untried and untested. So you're going to have, even though you've got a captive market there in your existing clients, you've still got to go and find them. Find the opportunities within your existing client base. And then lastly, to sell new products to new clients, you've got extra risk. You've got the risk of what the product is, and you've got the risk of whether or not you can find a new client. So my challenge to every professional services firm is to develop strategies that are initially looking at these two areas. Number one, selling more of your existing products to your existing clients. And I use no apologies for the words products and selling. That's what we do to generate revenue. We sell. We sell the stuff we do, and that's our product. And then is to focus on selling existing products to new clients. So what I'm going to take you through now is some other concepts that hopefully will get you to understand where you can get the best leverage from in focusing on what types of revenue. So in your practice, you're going to have three different types of revenue. The first one is recurring revenue, which is like retainers. So a lot of law firms don't have their clients on retainers. From an accounting firm's perspective, we're a chartered accounting firm. One of our core products is our compliance work, doing financial statements and tax returns. And as principals of your firms, you have to get your financial statements and tax returns done every year. For us, that's a recurring revenue. Strangely enough, most accountants don't view that revenue stream as a recurring revenue stream. They work hard at it every year. In our firm, we fix our prices and our clients pay monthly. So we've built in a recurring revenue model, but most law firms don't have that. The second area is reactive revenue, and that's the revenue that's client initiated. And that's the revenue that just walks in the door without you really doing too much. That's the revenue where a client rings up and says, oh, look, I'm buying this property, or I'm getting divorced, or I need to start some litigation against somebody. So that's what reactive revenue is. It's the revenue that's just created because you have a relationship with a client. And then there's proactive revenue. And proactive revenue is the revenue that you actively take charge of generating. That's the revenue that you actively create a strategy around driving revenue growth. And that's what I'm talking about before in that previous slide. It's about selling existing products to existing clients, existing products to new clients, new products to existing clients, and new products to new clients. It's working out what your plan is in these areas to proactively drive revenue. And what you focus on in those areas are your product, marketing, and sales. So another little poll, just to get a bit of a feeling for where in your practices where you generate your revenue from. So do you generate most of your revenue from recurring revenue, or from reactive revenue, or from proactive revenue? So a pretty big build here of reactive revenue I'm seeing, but I'm seeing a little bit of recurring revenue as well, with a little bit of proactive revenue. So thanks for that. So those numbers are, you've got 17% of listeners today generate their revenue from recurring revenue. So that's great. but 66% is reactive and 17% is proactive, which is pretty normal. I've often seen I often see in firms that I work with who are clients of mine. They generally have about 80 to 90% of their revenue being generated from reactive revenue. And when I press them a little bit more, what they define as proactive revenue is not really. So most firms do a few activities. They might do a little bit of marketing, but that marketing isn't targeted enough to proactively drive revenue. So most of their revenue is actually reactive. So thanks for that. So let's have a look at the strategies and where you should be focusing your energy. And a favourite saying of mine is hope is not a strategy. And in most firms, and I've worked with many firms in professional services fields, including particularly law firms, including engineers and my own peers in their accounting firms, and environmental planners and architects and so on. And most of their strategy is just developed around hope. And I just love that saying, that hope is not a strategy. So if we look at those three types of revenue, first of all, there's your recurring revenue. It's revenue that you can control and you can quantify, but it's often a limited revenue source for law firms, which basically shows in those results there 17% of you have some recurring revenue. So the key points there is that it is revenue that you can control and it's revenue that you can quantify. So if you're sitting down to work out where you're going to generate your revenue from for the next 12 months, if you've got some recurring revenue, you've got a fairly strong indication around what that revenue is going to be, how much it's going to be, when it's going to be paid. And you can control that by how you engage with those clients and what else you can provide to them around building more recurring revenue. So if you look at the recurring revenue, it's reactive. And when it's reactive, you can't control it. You can't control when that revenue is going to be made. You can't control when that client is going to come in. You can't control what the type of work is that they're going to be asking you to do. Whether you do it's a different question, but you can't control the type that they're going to ask you to do. And you can't quantify it. You can't sit down at the beginning of the year and say, I'm going to generate X $100,000 of revenue from our clients, selling them these services, because you just don't know. You're totally reactive. You're totally reliant on them coming in and engaging with you to do that. But then there's your proactive revenue. And proactive revenue is revenue that you can control, and it's revenue that you can quantify. So it's building systems and processes and activities in your business that are at that first part before the production and delivery component of your of how you generate your revenue. It's having strong product clarity. It's getting the right messages out to the right people, and it's having a strong process for generating and converting those sales. So looking at those three different types of revenue, recurring revenue and proactive revenue are very similar because you can control them and you can quantify it. But most of our revenue, so 66% of our revenue is reactive revenue. So the revenue that we're generating in our businesses is revenue that we cannot control and that we cannot quantify. So I'm just going to put something else to you here. In the next slide, some of you may have seen this little prayer before. I'm not a religious person, but it's a little prayer or a little saying that I've used myself many times. Grant me the serenity to accept what I can't control, the courage to change what I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So if you think about that statement and you think about the types of revenue that you generate and you think about the financial stress that sometimes you feel in your business, it's pretty obvious to me as to why you're feeling like that. It's because most of the revenue that you're generating, that you rely on to pay your staff, pay your overheads, and lastly of all, pay yourselves a profit, is reliant on reactive revenue. It's reliant on revenue that we can't control. So it's going to create uncertain outcomes. And secondly, I just want to also talk through Einstein's definition of insanity, which is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So it seems to me that if we're spending our time relying on revenue being generated in our businesses that we can't control and we can't quantify, instead of focusing on activities to drive revenue that we can control and that we can quantify, it seems to me that we, unless we do something different, we're just going to get the same results. And the key to revenue growth is not being market reliant. It's taking control of your activities in those areas of what you can sell, what you sell, how you get that message out there, and then how you sell it. So it's spending the time developing strategies to ensure, excuse me, it's a bit of a tickle. It's how you spend your time generating strategies and activities to ensure your clients sign your cost agreements so that you've then got the work to be able to do in the production and delivery area. And it amazes me often the attitude that some lawyers have to cost agreements. And we're going to cover this off in the next webinar where we talk about strategies for driving improvement in cash flow. Because the cost agreement, you guys have it legislated that you need to enter into cost agreements. And your clients, you actually have the legislated opportunity to say to clients, this is how we're going to work. This is what I'm going to be doing for you. This is how I'm going to get paid, and get them to sign off on it before you start. It is the key to managing profitability and cash flow around the work that you win. So if we're focusing on the areas we can control, if we're relying on reactive revenue, it pops into the production and delivery area. That's where reactive revenue gets generated. That's about squeezing the orange, because if it's just popping in there and you're reacting to it, you got to get every dollar out of it that you can. But if you've got a pipeline of revenue that's coming in from your proactive activity, and I'm not talking about billboards, and I'm not talking about TV advertising, I'm not talking about all of that sort of stuff. What I'm talking about is key focused activities that are focused on selling more of what you do to existing clients, and then generating more of what you do to new clients, but changing that mix around so that you can proactively generate that revenue and you're able to quantify it and control it. So just wanting to go through those areas of product marketing and sales, just to give you a bit of an overview around what you can be looking at doing in your business. And guys, it's not complex. Just sort of think, see if you can take a step away from what you've got on your to-do list for the rest of the afternoon, and just give yourselves 5 or 10 minutes to just contemplate and maybe even jot down a few points around what you can do in these areas. So first of all, it's getting clear on your product. So you've got to think about, what are you good at, what are you passionate about, and think about, what if you just did this? The reason I say this is because if you just did that, you just did the work that you're good at, if you just did the work that you really enjoy doing and that you like doing, and if you just did that, your day is going to be so much better. But putting that aside, when you work in the areas that you're good at and that you're passionate about, it is so much easier to generate revenue in those areas. It is so much easier to make sales in those areas. It's so much easier to improve the margin that you make in those areas. So first of all is defining your product. And you've got to think about all those different products that you've got and write down the top three. So just say, what are the top three things that I really want to focus on over the next 12 months? That's going to be a product. Yeah, we'll still do all these other things. We're a commercial lawyer, so we do all these things. We've got a commercial practice, we've got a family law practice, and we've got a personal injuries practice. We're still going to do all of those things. But as the principal of the firm, what am I really good at that I want to be able to go out there and generate more work of, so that I'm doing the cream of that work and I'm delegating the rest down to my other team members? So that's all product definition is about. The reason why you define your product is because it makes it so much easier to communicate your message. That's what marketing is about. It's just about message communication. And if your message is clear around specific product, it creates own client awareness. So you don't actually have to go and say to clients, do you need this? Do you need that? They start saying to you, yeah, I need that. I understood what you're talking about. That's great. I really am interested. So it makes sales easier. So the key is product definition. And to give you just a little bit of a picture of what that looks like, and I should have had this slide in here to start with, so just excuse me as I go back. But for our firm, that's our product. Our product is guiding our clients to be financially well organised. So what I've done in our business is I've defined our product solution. As chartered accountants, we still do all the traditional, financial statements and tax returns. But our product is defined in working with our clients around these areas. So what we're talking about today is our business planning solution and our business planning support work that we do with clients. But it's all driven around our clients being financially well organised to achieve their goals and objectives. So in defining our product, what it does, it makes our message very easy to communicate to people. It makes, when I'm sitting down with clients, makes it very easy for them to understand what they're needing to do because they have already been educated by the messaging. So product, it's critical. So that's the first step. Define your product. What are those things you want to be doing? You've got to remember with your product is you can't be all things to all clients. And often that is the biggest challenge for firms is to say no. And the more you can say no, the more revenue you can generate. Seems odd, but if you're often going to be saying yes to those things that you shouldn't be doing in your firm, that's what's going to cause you to have activities that allow you to think that you've got to be all things to all clients, and you don't. So marketing. Marketing is a tap. Marketing is about how you let clients know what you do and what you can sell to them. But marketing, the way most people view marketing is it's this unknown expense that you pay out, not knowing what results are going to come out of it. And as a result, it's a tap that people turn on when they think they need to generate revenue. And the thing is with marketing, it can take 6 months to 12 months to even 18 months or longer to really kick into effect. So marketing is a tap that you've got to constantly have on. And it's a tap that when you get too much work, you turn it down a bit, but you never turn it off. So marketing is basically everything you do in your business. But if you're having specific marketing activities to drive revenue, you've got two types. You've got the type of marketing that creates brand awareness. So it's the marketing that lets your target market know that you exist. And then you've got direct marketing, and that direct marketing are specific activities that you're driving to generate specific revenue outcomes. So what you need to do is you've got to have a balance of those two. But in every activity that you do, you've got to make sure that tap's running. So for me, in our firm, we have a number of marketing strategies, just to give you an example. So webinars are one. We're starting the first of our East Coast Grow Your Law Firm workshops in October. We blog, we do social media, we advertise in Proctor, we we'll be advertising in Brisbane Legal News, and I speak at QLS events and Legal Wise events and regional law group events, and so on. All of these different things are a whole lot of activities that are done which don't take a lot of my time, but they're constantly going on, so that they all contribute to achieving sales outcomes. So that's what you've got to do in your business. You've got to create, first of all, what your sales outcomes are, what that revenue is we want to proactively generate, and then develop your strategies to achieve that. But it's a whole lot of actions. So that moves on to sales, and a lot of people think that sales is a dirty word, and it's not. Sales is just that part of your process that is the link between your product, your clients understanding what your product is, and actually signing up so that you can do the work. And as I said before, I don't apologise for using sales. You know, as chartered accountants, we prepare financial statements for clients, and the majority of those clients from the non-professional services industry world call their revenue sales. We don't. We call it professional fees or fees. But at the end of the day, it's the sales is that revenue item that we earn to pay our costs and generate our profit. So I'm calling it sales. So sales is just a process. And what most people do is they think they've got to just get in there and close that sale. Every opportunity somebody talks to you, you've got to try to get a sale out of them, you generate revenue, but you don't. Sales is a process so that when you're going to, that's going to maximize the opportunity for you to generate and close and make that income. So it's a process that you need to have built within your business so that it qualifies people. First of all, it self-qualifies them via your marketing message. Secondly, when they contact you, you qualify them whether or not you need to take them further along in your sales process. Because if you don't, and you think that every person can be a client and you do all things for all people, you spend all of your time chasing these opportunities and leads, but not converting the sales. So the key is to build a process that you focus on, just like a process. If you do wills, in writing a will, you'll have a process. If you do a conveyance, you have a process you go through. If you pay your employees, there's a process that you go through. Generating your revenue is just another process. Sales is just a process. So I'm just giving you an example here on the screen of a sales process. And in a way, this is a condensed version of what my sales process is that I work through when I get inquiries, and that the other people in our business who work in the sales area use as well. So we'll have an inquiry that'll come in. And our job with that inquiry is to book a meeting from a meeting. So our job is to bam-fam a client or a prospect so that we take them through a sales process. So let me take you through that. You have an inquiry. That inquiry comes in, and we need to get them to an initial meeting where we need to understand what it is that they're trying to do, what they're trying to achieve, and why they're talking to us today. But what we need to do at that meeting, we need to have systems and processes in place where we can qualify that inquiry. Because if they don't fit our profile of the work that we're wanting to be doing with them, if they don't fit our profile of the type of client that we need to be working with, then we need to not spend a lot of time with them going right through a sales process, which possibly will not, or quite predictably will not lead to anything. So we get an inquiry. We book that meeting with them, and then we might send them a little bit of a content piece. So remembering, back before that inquiry, they've had contact of some sort, which may be on a number of different levels, generate that inquiry. So it's not an unusual conversation that I have when I get an inquiry from people who say, look, I've been reading your blogs, I've seen your articles in Proctor, I've seen your ads there, I've been watching your webinars, I went to a seminar. So they've had all of these different contacts with you over, by having that tap constantly turned on that produces that inquiry. So very quickly, they've sort of self-selected, if you like, that they're ringing me or emailing me or contacting me because they're aligned to what I can do for them. So I book that meeting with them and I'll send them another content piece, and that's just to give them more information. So I see on our list, the list of attendees today, there's a couple of attendees or a number of attendees that are there that I've actually do some work with. So a number of clients, there's a number of attendees on there that have taken up various offers with me to take them through a sales process. And what they'll realise is that there's a content piece. And what that content piece I usually do is some sort of a checklist. Because if it's a checklist, it requires that prospect to do something. It requires that prospect to actively engage with me to move it to the next stage. And if they don't give me that questionnaire back, we don't have that initial meeting. So what I'm doing is by sending that content piece out, which is often the questionnaire, it gets them engaged with the process. So then we have another meeting. And the meeting that we have then, the purpose of that meeting is to understand objectives, measures, and values. So we'll book that meeting to get a very clear understanding of what it is the client's wanting to achieve, when they know they'll achieve it, and what it means to them. And only then am I able to determine what the right process or program or work or product that is correct for that business. And often, or that client, often what a client thinks they need, I are able to show them that we actually got to do a number of other things before then, or you shouldn't be doing that, we need to be doing something else. So getting really clear on what the objectives are for the clients, what the measures are for the clients, and what the value is for the clients. And then BAM-FAMing, so booking another meeting from a meeting where we look to present an implementation plan. So when you present that implementation plan, that's the meeting where you start talking about your sales. But what we then do is we have another contact with them, and we might send them an initial summary of that meeting. We might send them some other content, depending on the work that we're going to be doing with the client. Sometimes they might receive a book from me, or they might receive an invitation to come to something, or various different things. But it's managing this process and keeping your prospects and your clients engaged along the way. You then present the implementation plan to them, and when you present that, you're doing it in a way that is absolutely aligned back to their objectives, measures, and values, so that what you're talking to them about and what you can do for them, it shows them that it's helping them achieve what they want to achieve, and it's helping them, and it's helping them achieve the value that they're going to achieve. It also aligns to that value. And I always do that with a number of options, so that the client can choose how they work with me, as opposed to me telling them how they must be working with me. Then answering any questions and objectives and moving to a closed sale. And it's also within that building other processes and activities that maximise the opportunity to close a sale. So by doing this, by the time you get to presenting an implementation plan or presenting your costs agreement to a client, you have eliminated the people who won't get to that stage. You've actually engaged them so that your implementation plan or your costs agreement is more or less an administrative task. It's just formalising what you're going to be doing for them, and they sign it. So that's a sales process. Very simple. And what you do is you do it the same way every time, just like you do a will, just like you run a PI matter, just like how you run a family law matter, just how you run a conveyance. It's a process, and it's a process that is tried and tested so that it can produce predictable results for you. So just another little poll, just last one for the day, I promise. So how many of you have got a defined sales process? Come on, guys, I need some yeses here. Oh, we've got some yeses. Fantastic. So a couple more to vote. So thanks for that. 24% have got a defined sales process, which is fantastic. And I'm sure with those 24% that they are spending time, if they've got one, they're spending their time often focusing on recurring revenue or proactive revenue. And because of a defined sales process, you are very much honed in on to those outcomes that you can generate. So thanks for that. So just to put all that back into perspective, managing your sales pipeline or generating your revenue pipeline, define your product first. So defining your product lets people know what you are selling. It also allows your marketing activities, your messaging, to be really clear so that it self-selects, and it also educates your prospects and your clients on what you're wanting to be providing them with. With your marketing activities, just remember it's a tap. It's a tap that you've got to keep running, and it's got to keep running from many different angles so that what it does, it drops opportunities or drops leads, into your pipeline, into your funnel. So that picture you've got on your screens now is just a sales process funnel. So first of all, they come in as a lead. That's like an inquiry. You qualify them, which basically says, yes, I'm interested in something. I've got this opportunity that I want you to help me with. So by taking them through this process in the funnel, you can qualify them, convert them to an opportunity, which you then close that opportunity. You sign them up to your cost agreement, and dollars drop out the bottom, and that's your revenue. Once you've got to that point, you can then start doing the work. You can then do your production and delivery work. Interestingly, though, the last piece, which we haven't really touched on today, is the client relationship management activity. So it's managing those relationships with clients so that they keep coming back. And part of your client relationship management activities drops them back into this funnel so that you keep generating additional revenue by selling existing services to existing clients. So just to wrap up, a free offer for everybody today. For the first 15 to email me, what I'm offering is that you can do an online, financially well-organised assessment, and then from that, as long as you've registered with me, we'll give you a free consultation just to talk through that. No obligation. But just to give you a picture of what that looks like, it's very simple. It's basically you'll go to our website and do a very simple assessment, which is absolutely confidential, and you just basically answer those questions, and once you've submitted it, it will produce a report for you that'll get emailed directly into your inbox, and it'll also come into my inbox, and then we can schedule in a meeting to run through those results and just give you some feedback around how financially well organised you are. And if anything, it might just give you, well, it will give you some clear action plans around what you need to do in your own financially well organised strategy, which is both from a personal perspective and also from your business perspective. You'll be able to help you build some goals and objectives, get a strong foundation plan in place, which is those green areas, and then give you some clarity around the areas you need to focus on in terms of achieving those goals and objectives. And one last little advertisement is our next webinar, which is going to be held on Thursday, the 20th of September, and that's going to be focusing on how to improve cash flow in a law firm. We're going to be talking about principles that are tried and tested in professional services firms, not just law firms, and we're going to come up with some clear action plans in that webinar around simple strategies that you can implement in your business to significantly improve your cash flow. And once again, it's all just about process. Also, watch out for the registration opening for early September. You'll all receive invitations to our Grow Your Law Firm workshop, which is going to be held in Brisbane at 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. On the 17th of October. Early in the new year, we'll also be running these in Sydney and Melbourne. So for listeners in Sydney and Melbourne, you're most welcome to come up to the Brisbane workshop if you're ready to get moving on it. But do watch out for those workshops, which will be held in Sydney and Melbourne as well. So thank you very much, everybody, for listening. I hope you have some value out of that. Just a reminder, if you're interested to take me up on my absolutely free offer today, just email me at matt@elliotsgroup.com.au, and I'll email you the link and schedule in a phone meeting with you just to discuss your financially well organised strategy, so that we can at least help you do the first step in becoming financially well organised and achieving your goals. Also, if you have any questions whatsoever, my contact details are on our website and on our email that you would have received for this webinar. Please just either call me or email me. Happy to talk about anything at all, so I can help you achieve your goals. So thank you very much, and please come back and join me again on the 20th of September. Thank you.